everybody, it is, well, Fabled Ways, and I'm here with a very difficult task. I'm kind of dreading making this video because, as you can see right here, this is a tier list video. I said I would make this tier list video. I'm here to make the tier list video. It's just that I just realized how few of these I have actually played. So I added a whole new section to this tier list. My friend said I should, instead of choosing one of the other tier lists that exists on the site with just the baseline games, I should also include some of the off games. And originally I was against it, and then I realized that I'd played more of the side content and side games than I've played any of the mainline games. So yeah, I think we should just get straight into it and just get the couple of harsh ones out of the way. Never played. I didn't play the first three. I'm very sorry. This one, I'm gonna put into B. It is widely regarded as one of the more, like, well-respected and one of the most accessible ones. I believe this is the one with Cecil and everything, and it's really, really nice, right? But it wasn't my favorite. Mostly because I've come to expect different things, because this wasn't my entry Final Fantasy game. But we'll get there when we get there. Never played 4. I did play 5, did not enjoy it. I'm gonna go through these really, really quickly, and if I have anything to say about these, by the way, I'm just going to say something, and that's it, by the way. I'm not gonna try to dwell on games that I haven't played and, you know, lament about it. 6 I have played, and I liked 6. 7, I'm gonna piss people off. I did not like 7. 7 was not my game. I don't know why. It just never really... It wasn't my thing, okay? Crisis Core, S tier. I did play, I played 7. Didn't like it. Didn't play before Crisis, but I loved Crisis Core. Crisis Core was just a fantastic game to me because Zack Fair was just such a likable character, and it was such a contrast for me between 7 and Crisis Core. So it's just, I mean, when I played 7, I didn't even like Sephiroth. I liked nothing about it, really. I just found it a fun turn-based RPG, but in terms of characters, I didn't really connect with anything in terms of all that. And then I went to Crisis Core, and then every character I just didn't feel much for actually ended up being incredibly likable. So it's, you know, it's fun. Nope, did not. Nope. This is this is turning into a real quick list. Did not play yet. It is on my list. It is definitely on my list. Like, absolutely. Did not play. Did play. I'll give it an A. I'm struggling between putting that one in A and B, because I'll put it in A because of its story. At the end of the day, I found the combat to be very easily breakable. I played it with 2 friends who were spectating for quite a lot of the time, and once you figure out the build of Yuna, which is dual casting or double casting the holy spam, the game just becomes a quick walkthrough, and it's just pretty easy. What was kind of funny is that I went through the game like an absolute breeze when I discovered this, and then you get to the final boss, and then nothing ever works. So it's it's a bit of a contrast. It was a very difficult final boss, and eventually I will admit, I did cheat through the final boss. However, when I played it a second time, I went through it completely vanilla, and absolutely wonderful time. Nothing but good things to say. Really I really didn't like X2 though. I don't know why. It just did not connect with me the same way that 10 did. I feel like the dress sphere system was okay. It was a fun concept. It just didn't strike me as well as some of the class systems in other games. Final Fantasy XI. There's a lot of Final Fantasy XI stuff here. Look, I really want to try Final Fantasy XI for a really long time. Final Fantasy XI was for sale, and I will fully admit, was really considering buying it because I haven't logged into Final Fantasy XIV in a little bit. Nothing's really pulling me in. I've completed Xandor, or Zadnor, I should say. Did not complete my relic, but the relics don't really have my attention either, so I don't really want to do it. I don't do any of the Savage raids. Like the last tier, I did Shiva, and that was it. Yeah. So 11 is really high up on my 2 playlist. It's just that right now, I have to put all of these in there because I just didn't play them. I'm very sorry. Oh my god, there's so many. There's so much stuff to get through. This list is going to be mostly just this stuff. All right, Final Fantasy XII. Immediate S tier. Immediate A tier. Final Fantasy XII was the game that I got into Final Fantasy with. This was the first game that I ever saw for the PS2 back in the day because I picked it up as a PS2 game. And when I first picked it up, I did not know what it was. It just said Final Fantasy and XIII, and I didn't even know that that meant 12 at the time. I didn't know about Roman numerals because that's how young I was. It hadn't even come out that long. And we had just gotten a PlayStation 2, and I kind of just complained like, hey, we don't really have any games on it, so can I have that game? And my mom said, yeah, we can have that game. It looks fine. It doesn't have anything violent on the cover. I was able to convince her that this splatter over here was a sunrise and a painting brush. That was really it. I didn't even know English. I did not speak a lick of English at the time, so I grew up with this game. This taught me a lot, even though all of the dialogue is written in that specific dialect. So, yeah, this was the game to get me into it. Revenant Wings was really, really fun, except that it was different. They're not comparable in any type of way, and I don't know. Final Fantasy Revenant Wings specifically, I liked the concept of it being on a ship, but I would have liked to see it on a console because that in a 3D environment would have been just perfect, like a fully rendered 3D environment instead of the almost pixel art-y type of stuff. But I guess it worked. I'm not opposed to the RTS type of system that they used in it, so it was really nice to play. 13. Oh, this is a controversial one, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna go here because I liked 13 normally. I hated 13 too, and it made me never want to play Lightning Returns. 13 in itself, I always felt like the focus of the main character. I should put this in B, because people are going to hate me for this, and I kind of agree that it's not exactly an A, it's a B. Final Fantasy 13 is, to me, it felt like the focus of the main characters, because it had a lot of main characters, but it should have really been 2, in my opinion, in that it should have been Snow and it should have been Saz. Yes, Snow is absolutely just the dude bro to the point of unlikable, I get that, but at some point, I find myself relating to him a lot because of the fact that him as a character, it's just, I want to protect those around me, no matter the cost, no matter what it costs me or what it does to me physically, blah, blah, blah. And absolutely, I could relate to that character, and he also felt like he had a motivation. Saz has a motivation from the outset, and he's one of the least utilized characters while having the most charisma, most personality. I don't get it. Why did he have to play second fiddle to Vanille for like a good portion of the mid game? I don't understand. It's not just that. I can agree that a lot of the game is super linear. However, it does break it off a little later, and the fact that people complain about this with like, oh, the game is so super linear and it's a linear corridor, and I don't like that it's too linear. I get it, right? With Final Fantasy XII, you could go literally almost anywhere from the outside of the game except where story limits it. And in this one, you're back into a corridor. But look at the game right above it. That's a corridor as well. It also, towards the very end, just at the final chapter, that's when you start to get something where you can go a bit open worldy. I don't get the complaint of the open world with Final Fantasy 13 when people don't mention it with Final Fantasy 10. It's such a contrasting complaint, so Final Fantasy 14, this is 1.0, I believe. I played a tiny bit of 1.0. A tiny bit. Did not like it. I think I played it for, I'm trying to remember it really, really hard. Because now that all of my memories for Final Fantasy XIV are now related to like 2.0 onwards, it just wasn't good. It actively punished you for playing the game. And the moment I realized that, I never returned to the game. That was literally it. When I sat down for it, played it the entire day through, and then towards the sorry, here. So it just punished you for playing. I played it the entire day. I got towards the point where it just started to punish me for playing. It started giving me less experience. I don't get why it did that. It's such a counterintuitive measure to. I mean, I get it. It even opens with the message of like, hey, you know, we know you enjoy the game, but make sure that you do IRL stuff as well, and blah blah blah. But it wasn't enforcing that, I feel. So yeah, it just. That was my biggest gripe with it, because of the fact that I couldn't have much more of a gripe because I didn't play that much of it. It literally came down to a 1 or 2 day experience at best. 1.0, I did play for a little bit. That's going into above... come on. Yeah, okay. So it's going above it, but it's still a B. I liked it. I pretty much played up until the point where Titan came up. And after that, I kind of just took a break from the game until Heaven's Word came around. It's not going. It should be this order. It should be this order, but it's not. It's not better than Final Fantasy XII. Heaven's Word was such an amazing time. And of course, it's the whole Final Fantasy boomer meme of like, oh, everything used to be better back in the Heaven's Word days. It didn't. Okay. I was a machinist main in those days. And okay, I will quickly clarify because the timeline of what I mained has apparently been a little bit flustering for some people, so I'll put it into a direct line for you. In 1.0, I don't even remember what I started as. In 2.0, yeah, I played as a monk. In Heaven's Ward, I played as a machinist. In Stormblood, I started as a machinist, switched over from machinist to summoner and warrior, sort of like juggling between the two. And then in Shadowbringers, I don't really know what I mained. I mean, I kind of just switched between everything. Dancer, I guess, probably was my go-to, if you want to call it that, for raiding and that kinds of stuff. So, that was pretty much it. There's another Heaven's Ward here. I guess this is just the same. I don't see a difference. In any case, Stormblood, A. Yeah, A. I enjoyed Stormblood, but it was like it's an A minus. It's compared to A Realm Reborn's B plus. It's an A minus. I liked Stormblood. Not the launch content. The launch was a mess. Like, okay, there's an ambulance going by, but everything in terms of the launch stuff, in terms of the content, aside from the main story, all of the launch content was, in my opinion, good. And it was handled pretty well, aside from the, server issues. But a lot of the instance issues, I should say, because of the fact that loading into any instanced content was very, very tough, aside from maps. But post-launch, Stormblood was just so different compared to the launch. It felt like it was done entirely by a different company, almost. Like, it was handled so much more cleanly, with so much more style. The story made a lot more sense. I liked it much more. So it's definitely a division of like launch to post-launch, and let's be fair here, we spent more time in the post-launch than we did in the actual launch, so that's why it gets an A minus instead of a B plus. Otherwise, it would go right here. Final Fantasy 15. Yeah. It's gonna go between here. I loved Final Fantasy 15. In its open world aspect, I did not enjoy the story. If I was allowed to put the Kingsglaive movie on here, which I don't see on here, Kingsglaive ruined the game for me. That's the best way to put it. Because I played Final Fantasy 15 after I watched the Kingsglaive movie, and when I was watching the Kingsglaive movie, the character of Nyx in that movie basically made me wish that there was an actual, and I'm not joking when I say this, I wish there was an actual DLC or an actual side story or something where we could play as Nyx instead of Noctis and just ignore the main story, because it just didn't feel that interesting. it is a much better story in retrospect, especially after all of the updates. But now it's I can't really say that this impressed me whatsoever. It suffered from Nomura syndrome. That's all I'm gonna say. It's if you know Tetsuya Nomura and if you know his game direction history and his oftentimes the issues that he brings with that, I'm gonna point to that. And the fact that what was his name? Tabata ended up taking over and then quitting. I think it's telling. So it just suffered from Nomura, in my opinion. This one is going into the D tier, this DLC. This one is going into absolute A tier, just there. Episode Ignis is going into S tier. This one's going into A tier. The Comrades is going into C tier. Did not play this one. I think that's a King's Tale. I'm not sure. Is it a King's Tale? I think that's the anime. I'm not sure. I can't quite tell. I'm trying to read it. The images aren't that clear. A King's Tale did not do anything. I didn't even know that existed. Yeah, so out of all the DLCs, Episode Ignis is just the absolute winner. Episode Prompto is very, very close, but Episode Ignis just knocks it out of the park. Can't say nothing but good things about Episode Prompto because it fleshes out a meant to be laughed at character into something that has emotional weight, whereas Episode Ignis is just a character definer. When you started Final Fantasy XV, inevitably you thought that Ignis was nothing more but a really crappy catchphrase, and let's be fair, that's pretty much what he was. And then you get into this DLC and you realize, oh my god, he's a fucking fantastic character and you could do nothing but respect him. If Episode Ignis did nothing for you, then you need to get your heart checked. And then the Episode Arden, the fact that I put it in A is actually being generous. I'm definitely going to put it here. It's better than the main game and I liked it, but it kind of just sours me on the point that I now have to remember all of the dropped DLC. And man, I wish we had all of the DLC, the Aranea DLC, the Lunafreya DLC. I wish we got that. I wish we got those story pieces. Because there are characters that deserve it, but we just never got to actually experience them as characters. Aranea's... The fact that Aranea's character really got boiled down to nothing more but a boob shot and just being sassy feels so disrespectful. But it's nothing they can do about it. It's just the budget cuts and all that kinds of stuff. Or budget cuts. I believe it was budget cuts. I'm not quite sure why they canceled it again. It's been so long and I've been trying to kind of push Final Fantasy 15 out of my mind. Looking so forward to 16, but really trying to forget 15. Aside from Episode Ignis, because that was a 10 out of 10. Monsters of the Deep, did not play. Don't even know what it is. I don't know what that is, so I'm just going to put it in there. Dissidia. Yeah, I'm gonna go put that in the lower. I'm gonna put that right there. I enjoyed Dissidia. I did not play it. I'm not gonna pretend like I played it so much that I'm an expert, because I do like sort of fighting games. But I'm gonna put all of the Dissidia games that I have played in that similar vein, because my feelings are kind of shared among all of them. I believe NT was the most recent one, and that one will go slightly higher. I'm very sad that that one actually did not make it off the... Like, it did not get a running start as much as I think it deserved. So, NT just deserved better. I think it was NT. I'm not sure which one came first, 012 or NT. There's sort of a lot of Final Fantasy taglines to go through at the moment. I'm sorry. That one's going in there. It's another Dissidia. Right. Okay. This is where a lot of my bias is going to come in. Original Final Fantasy Tactics, going in there. Tactics. This one is the mobile game, I believe. I did not play that one, very sadly. Tactics. This is War of the Lions. It's going to go above... Yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, really, but... In any case, is there any more tactics that they could put up there? So, Final Fantasy Tactics, War of the Lions, and the original, I'm going to put just below here, because I enjoyed these more in this order, right? So the Final Fantasy Tactics original games, like the first one, and then War of the Lions, which is just the remaster with a couple of extra additions. I enjoyed these more in this order, right? So the Final Fantasy Tactics original games, like the first one, and then War of the Lions, which is just the remaster with a couple of extra additions. I enjoyed these more in this order, right? So the Final Fantasy Tactics original games, like the first one, and then War of the Lions, which is just the remaster with a couple of extra additions. I loved those games. I think the storytelling was so fantastic, and it's one of the games I can have nothing but respect for, especially because of how they laid the groundworks for the eventual Evilise universe. You'll notice that a lot of the Evilise games are just ranked high because there's 12, A2, Tactics, Tactics War Alliance, Tactics Advance, Tactics War Alliance, Tactics, and then Revenant Wings, because I love everything Evilise. That's where my bias comes in. I'm sorry, you came in for my tastes. My bias will be included. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's. I'm not even going to apologize. This is just the way it is. Tactics War Alliance, fantastic. Tactics Advance, I believe this is Advance, at least. I can't quite read the text, but Advance, really good, but not as good as A2. A2 was just a fantastic experience. In fact, it's going to go slightly below there. Just sort this properly. Yeah, I put these together because they're essentially the same thing. I think this is, yeah, pretty much the same thing. Let's see, what else is in here that I could just put into not played, because that list is gonna go longer. Not played. Ring of Fates, oh my god, oh, that's a long time ago. Yeah, that's going here. These are the Echoes of Time, I believe? Yeah, those are fantastic games. I really enjoy, like, I did not enjoy Final Fantasy games on the DS that much, aside from Tactics. Tactics A2, but then Ring of Fates just kind of knocked it out of the park for me. I loved it. I have had so much fun with it. That was because I was able to play it online as well with a couple of people back in its heyday, and there were a couple of times that I could, just spend all night playing with people and then just realize, oh crap, I have school in the morning. So it's just, I lost so many hours on that. And Echoes of Time, slightly above it. I enjoyed Echoes of Time a little bit more. God, those bring me back, man. Wow. Okay. My Life as a King, never played. My Life as a Dark Lord, never played. Crystal Defenders, I'm pretty sure I played it. Hold on. Give me a moment. Crystal Defenders. No, I did not play that one. I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of Crystal Chronicles. Yeah. Don't know that one because I don't recognize it. Don't know that one. Don't recognize it. Don't know that one. Don't recognize it. I know this is a mobile game. I know that the Theatrhythm is a mobile game. I believe it is a mobile game. I could be wrong. Explorers, never played it. Explorers, never played it. 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 Brave Exvius. I did, you know what, I'm just going to immediately sort the ones I did play out of ones that I didn't play. This list is, I'm going to put these in D for a second because I've played all of these. Yeah, okay, so Brave Exvius, B, yeah, Mobius, A, it's just here. I feel like that's a good place for it. C, because I didn't like it, and Record Keeper, I didn't enjoy. I'll put that in C. A lot of the Final Fantasy games on mobile suffer from the fact that I feel like they're sort of low tier gacha games, and yeah, there's not much more I can say about it other than they just felt like sloppy games when I played it. I am kind of surprised that War of the Visions isn't on here, because War of the Visions I would have ranked higher. I would have ranked like right between Dissidia, NT, and A Realm Reborn. War of the Visions. I mean, it is Brave Exvius, but I feel like the game improved once it got the tagline, pretty much. I got these two confused. There we go. Yeah. This feels appropriate. This feels like a nice comprehensive list. I'm not even going to pretend otherwise that there's a lot of Final Fantasies that I need to go play. In my defense, a lot of these are Final Fantasy XI. I think that's just an entire row of games. I did not play these couple of Final Fantasy 15 things. I don't plan on playing this Final Fantasy 13 game, which... I mean, I heard it brings back the sphere, like the dress grid ordeal, which, okay, you can dress up Lightning, but I never liked Lightning as a character, so why would I try to now spend an entire game trying to like Lightning? I don't know. This feels like a good comprehensive list of the games that I've played and where they fall on my rating. 1.0, just a D. Can't say much about it because it's just nothing positive. Let's put it like that. And I'm trying to stay a little bit positive. Episode Gladio. Really, it was a small gauntlet. You just get a small dungeon out of it, and that's it. Record Keeper, World of Final Fantasy. It was a nice idea. I just didn't enjoy it because Comrades, didn't play a lot of it, but I did enjoy what was there. It's essentially just a multiplayer Final Fantasy 15. It's just, by the time that I got to it, it was kind of dead. Final Fantasy 13 2, blech. Final Fantasy 10 2, blech. Final Fantasy 7, didn't enjoy it. Come at me, haters, I don't care. Final Fantasy 5, was okay, but Mobius, you should go here. Alright, cool. Final Fantasy 12, it was good, just focused on the wrong characters in my opinion. Final Fantasy, I can't read that. 4, standard. It's the go in, like the one you get into. It's really good. It's really good. I'd say it's better than 15, but I just don't enjoy it as much as some of the other ones. Episode Arden, it was good. Final Fantasy 15, Dissidia just deserved better. Dissidia NT especially deserved better. If I got the number right, I don't remember all the numbers from the top of my head. I still get them confused. Brave Exvius got better when the War of the Visions tag got added to it. Really, just felt like a time period stamp. But I don't play many mobile games anymore as is. Even on LD Player and all that kinds of stuff. So, Realm Reborn, entry Final Fantasy. Glad it got updated. Wouldn't know how to rate it. How to rate the new stuff. Ring of Fates and Echoes of Time, nostalgia classics for me. Episode Prompto. Excellent DLC, fleshed out a comedy character into an actual fun character that you can have sympathy for. Stormblood. The intro still sounds like the Fox intro. Revenant Wings. I could probably rate it higher if I just enjoy the RTS mechanics more on DS, and that it was in a 3D environment. I like RTS type games, it's just that this one kind of felt eh. Final Fantasy X-2, good romance story, decent gameplay. Gonna move this around like this. Final Fantasy VI, it was okay. I mean, if I remember it properly, at least it was okay. Episode Ignis, 10 out of 10. Just, it was a 10 out of 10 in the context of Final Fantasy 15. In terms of overall DLCs, it's still Final Fantasy 15. It's just the best that it got. Crisis Core, the combat took a little bit to get adjusted to, especially with the roulette wheel. But roulette wheel, it's sort of the slot machine mechanic, I guess. But hey, I liked it. Final Fantasy Tactics and War of the Alliance, absolutely great games. Tactics Advance, I believe it's Tactics Advance in this one. I can't quite tell. Looks like it. Just absolutely good, but not the best one in the series. Heaven's Words, twice. I don't know why it's there twice. Just best expansion. I don't know why. Wait, why is Shadowbringers not in here? Shadowbringers would go right between. Okay, well, okay. Shadowbringers ranks higher. It would go right here essentially. So treat this as Shadowbringers. So Shadowbringers, fantastic. A2. I still want to play this game over and over again. I want to invent new challenges for myself just to continue playing it. Final Fantasy 12, 10 out of 10? Actually, no. The original was an 8 out of 10 because I did not like how universally, how all of the characters could basically just end up being the same, and it came down to like the real raw stats that the developers gave the characters. And then they released the Zodiac Age edition and the Zodiac Job system in the West, essentially. And holy crap, this game just became a 10 out of 10. There's no way around it. It's just a 10 out of 10 now. If you don't know Final Fantasy 12, play the Zodiac Age. It's a 10 out of 10. God, it's a fantastic... Even better is that I used to hate the character of Vaughn and Penelo. Penelo I still don't like, okay? I'm just gonna confess that right now. But Vaughn as a character has grown on me, and I understand him now. it took me a lot of time to mature and look at his perspective and realize a lot of the characters, but the villain makes so much more sense now. Vaughn makes so much more sense now. Balthair makes so much more sense now. Bosch has always made sense to me. Ash is quite the asshole and now looks like the villain to me in the broader sense of things. So it's just, this is a fantastic game in my opinion. A 10 out of 10. The premier Final Fantasy for me. A lot of people are going to disagree with this because it's not as turn-based and it's not this and it's not that. Hey, it's my list. It's my taste. If you think my taste is wrong, go ahead. You can think it's wrong. It's still my taste. Yeah, okay, cool. That's my list. Definitely more in the list of never played than there are in the other list, but most of that's 11 and yeah. In any case, my name is Fabled Ways. I'm going to put the link for this list, if you want to make one yourself, down in the description. And tell me what you think. Did you enjoy Final Fantasy XII or the Evilise universe as much as I did? You should. If you don't, I will steal Viera away from you. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much for the support on the interview with John Jacobson. We will be making a follow-up video at some point, sort of thanking everybody for the massive outpouring, especially from the Japanese side of the community as well, because that outpouring was just fantastic and massive. But yeah, hey, thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.